far too dangerous, and I had Edith to think about. I hit the accelerator, and the car lurched forward. I made the mistake of glancing into the mirror again. The doorway was no longer empty. A man of sound mind might have just dismissed it as a shadow, but I knew it was much more than that. We had managed to keep it at bay for so long, I had fooled myself into believing we had beaten it. But I had known this day would come. I was simply an old fool for thinking otherwise, and the years had taken their toll. We were weaker, and it could sense that. Would it use us to become stronger? What did it know about Jacob? I prayed to a God I no longer believed in, asking him to keep them safe. Jacob's face, as a young man, flashed into my mind. I was so proud of him and the man he had become. His death had signaled the end of us all. It was only a matter of time before it all caught up with us. It was like only being able to see the bottom half of an hourglass, never knowing when the last grain of sand would fall. It is not right for a father to outlive his sons. This thing was pure evil and rage. I could feel its resentment rippling in waves across the space between us. A creature which had no place in this world. It was enjoying this. I could sense it gloat. It knew it had the upper hand. I glanced across at Edith, her small and frail body, her trembling fingers counting each rosary bead, her eyes staring straight ahead, focused, yet unseeing. Her lips were moving, but she made no sound in the relative silence of the car as the gale continued blowing outside. I knew she was praying. She had prayed a full rosary every single day for the past 40 years. She was the strongest woman I had ever known, and I had loved her every day since the day I saw her walking into the market. She carried a fresh bouquet of flowers in her hand and was radiant. She had looked at me then. I had been a waif of a man at 19, with an awkward smile, but she had noticed me, and I had fallen for her, and vowed to make her my wife one day. But now was not the time for such recollections. I drove as fast as I could away from Willow House, a place we had built with our bare hands, a place which had brought us so much happiness when the boys were young, but which was now only an awful reminder of all we had lost. The roads were starting to flood, and a darkness I had never experienced before surrounded us, as if the outside world had ceased to exist. But I knew I could not stop. We had to try and get away. We had to protect them. They were all that we had left. We had only seen pictures, but I loved them as much as I had loved Jacob and Marcus. We had tried to spare them from it, but in the end we too had failed. I had to get us to the church. Father Olson would have to believe us once and for all, and he would help us. Whether the father liked it or not, I was bringing this evil right to his doorstep. Let him try and refute it then. In a brilliant white flash of lightning, I saw it again, right in front of us. I knew then that I had no hope of making it to the church. This thing had a fate in store for us which was much worse than death. It was no longer just a dark form, but a monstrous figure with inhuman red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. Visible in the car's headlights, it began moving towards us. The fact that the car was heading straight towards it seemed to elicit no concern. I knew what it could do, what it would do. I would not let that happen to Edith. I would save her, the only way I could. I looked over at her once more, and I knew she had seen it. Her eyes were now tightly closed, and her lips moved even faster as she continued to recite her prayers. I grabbed her hand, and she looked over at me. I tried to smile and whispered, "I love you so, so much," losing myself in her eyes for the last time. My eyes filled with tears as she comprehended the full extent of my words. She gave me a small nod, and her expression was one of resolution and courage and full of love for me. Before I could second-guess myself,